We're going to be looking at a George Rodriguez picture and using that as a gridded example. Now we've got to create our own grid on our paper. The supplies you have are a ruler, Sharpie, pencil, and an eraser. The first thing we're going to be doing is measuring from the top of our page to the bottom of our page to create our grid. That should be exactly 12 inches long, so you're going to make a mark on the 4 and on the 8 because we divided into 3. I'm going to go in and mark that on the right and left also to make sure that our line is going to be level. And then I'm going to go on and make our lines that are going to divide side to side in 3 sections. So our paper is 9 inches wide, and so we're going to make marks at the 3 and the 6. And I'm going to move my ruler up a few different places to make sure that I get those lines correct also. Now I'm completing my lines by just lightly drawing vertical and horizontal lines according to those marks that I just made. They're going to be super light just so that I can see them while I'm drawing, because they're going to get erased after I have drawn over my drawing in Sharpie. I'm going to be using these different sections by looking at the picture and looking in those certain boxes and thinking about the lines that I see, the shapes, the size, how they fill up each square. I like to start up here at this top left ear because it's pointed and it goes almost to the edge of the page. And then I'm going to pull just that little spike of hair for that top of the ear. And I'm going to go on and go across and arch across for the head and then do my little spikes in my other ear. So I still am looking at my boxes and trying to kind of match those. If it helps you to go one box at a time, that is fine. I just kind of wanted to do that main outline of the dog's head since the ears are such a prominent part of it. So now I'm going to be working on thinking about finishing up the face, and I think I'm going to go with the snout. So I'm going to start this white section of the dog, and I'm making almost like a vase shape, and pay attention to where it comes down to, which box that ends in. And then I'm just going to draw a soft edged box or rectangle-ish shape for the nose and make some little nostrils. Then I'm coming up to make eyes. I'm just going to loosely make an eye shape on each side of that snout. Then I'm working on finishing off that face. You're going to kind of practice and play around with this to see the shape that you want. If you want your dog's face a little bit rounder, then you'll come out a little bit wider. And you can just use those grids as helper lines to see how large the original comes out. So you see, I'm making adjustments as I go. I'm going to get rid of any of the lines that I'm not liking and just correct those as I go. And that's why we're drawing lightly. Because as we're just looking at something and trying to match it, we're going to have to be very observant. And sometimes things don't line up or end up the way that we'd like them. So we can just erase. Now, the eyebrows on this Cajun dog are very prominent also, so we're going to make those big eyebrows. And then he has a few more lines that seem to be in a lot of his dogs underneath the eyes, around the eyes, and just showing some texture in the fur. So now we're going to just look at that face and make sure that we're happy with it. Now I'm looking for where I want the body to come. So I have to think about the rest of my page. I've got to fit his 4 little legs in, and like he's sitting on his back hind legs. So I'm just going to go off the edge of his head just a little bit, keeping in mind my grid example. And I'm going to adjust that so that he looks proportionate. And I'm adding in his foot. I've got to make it look like his knee is popped up since his foot is sitting. And I'm going to add in his arms. And then I'm going to add in his other side. Same thing, I'm paying attention to my grid and the shape of the objects that are in each box. And I'm making sure that I'm happy with all those things. I'm just making some corrections to things that I am looking at and not 100% excited about. Now I'm going to be tracing over my lines with a Sharpie, and I'm going to do this pretty thick. First, I'm just going to go over it as a single line, and then I'm going to go back and double it. The next step is going to be to erase all of your lines, your pencil lines. So we're going to erase even the grid lines and any drawing lines that you see. I just have tried to go on and hold on to that paper and brush over every section to make sure that I get my pencil marks up before I paint. Now we're going to be adding our colors. We're going to add a tint first. So that's our blue with a little white in it. And then we're going to add our base color, which is our regular blue. And then we're going to be adding our shade, which is the blue added with a little bit of black added to it. So I'm just going to go around these sections up on the ears to get a little bit of light blue tint in there. I'm going to go up around the forehead, on top of the eyes, a little bit underneath each eye. gonna do a little bit on the chest, a little bit on the side, the right side of the dog, and a little bit on the right side of the front arm. Now I'm coming in with my base color, just the regular blue, and I'm going to fill in most of those spots on the head and the ears, the top of the ears, with this regular base color blue. And then mainly it's going to be some of the front legs and the front part of the body in this regular blue. Now we're going to add the shadows by using the blue that's mixed with black. And we're going to come in and fill in some of these areas that don't have paint on them right now, like the inside of the ears, the bottom sections of some of the face, the top sections underneath the chin on the right and left sides, his back hind legs, and then some parts of that front leg that would be shaded. And now I'm just gonna go back in with some of these base blues and my light tints of blues, just to kind of mix and make sure that these all blend in well together instead of being so drastic sections. I want them just to kind of blend into one another.